What's up guys, it's Andrew from Seemu Apps here. So I'm just having a play around with the live stream at the moment. So let's just check out the software. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to code an app. Cool, the thing moved up. Alright, let's just move it to the other corner. Might be a bit better over the left hand side here. So what I'm doing here, I'm trying to code an app to recognize these images. It's got the numbers 0 through to 9. So what my first idea was, I was going to use Core ML, the machine learning, to run this through a machine learning model which will be trained to recognize the numbers. I tried that, but the results were only about 50% hit rate. And the reason why I'm trying to recognize these numbers is I'm trying to log into a website that uses these numbers, and every time these numbers are sent back to the website, they're actually base64 images. So if you're not too sure what base64 is, they look like something like this. So the number 0, the actual content or the code would be something like this. And essentially every time I try to log into the website, the base64 code changes. So that's why I need to be able to actually recognize these numbers to log into the website. So I need a dynamic way to be able to log in. What's up guys, how's it going? How are you? So what I've been playing around with, I've got some image recognition libraries which are actually trained to recognize text. So the one I'm trying here is Swift OCR. There's another one called Tesseract OCR for iOS, but it looks a bit more tougher to install and get working. I personally try to go with something easy to use. So I've got the Swift OCR library already set up with my pod file here to install it. Unfortunately, it didn't have any good documentation on how to install, so a quick hint on GitHub, if you can't figure out something, check out the Issues tab because someone's bound to have had it already. So let's try and get one of these numbers to be able to be recognized by the app with this Swift OCR library. So let's just go to the documentation. I haven't read it yet. Just figured I'd try out live streaming, actually show you guys what coding's kind of like doing it, because I run into a lot of pains and troubles as well. It's not as easy as it always looks. So let's check it out here. Alright. Cool, so here we've got the code to recognize an image and print out the text it recognizes in the image. So let's just give that a go in my test class here. So we'll do let number 0 equals UI image, and we'll do the image with number 0 in it. So named, I think it was. It's been a while since I've coded in Swift. And then we'll do number 0 and print that out to the console. So this is our number 0 here. So we're going to try and see if it can recognize the number 0 text. And if it can, that's great. We can try all the other numbers, and if that works, we can actually use it. So the app can automatically log into a website. That looks like I need to unwrap this variable. Let's check it out now. Okay, this needs to be unwrapped. Let's try now. So yeah, my idea for this app is my bank now is forcing me to use my card 5 times a month in order to get the best interest rate. So I always completely forget about it, and at the end of the month I'm buying 5 coffees in a row just to hit that limit to get that extra interest. So my idea was I could use an app that could log into the banking website, check my history, and check if I've actually used the card 5 times a month. And why don't you look at that? That's awesome. So it's printed out the number 0 here. It's pretty small, but essentially it's recognized our number 0 in our assets folder and printed it out. So that's pretty awesome. I'm pretty stoked with that, because the machine learning would only get this about 50% of the time. So let's try all our other numbers. just to make sure they all work. So I'm just essentially going to quickly hack it. Of course you wouldn't code it like this, but just to prove that it's working. So 0 through to 9. Let's paste that all in here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and finally 8, and finally 9. And we'll have to also change our variable names, otherwise it's going to complain when we try to run a lap. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through to 9. So this is actually quite surprising that it works so smoothly. Usually things are a lot more painful, so whenever this happens, it's always an awesome feeling that we got it going. Oh yeah, and we've got to also, before I run, replacing the code here. So while I'm coding that, how are you guys going tonight? Have you got any app ideas or any projects you're working on at the moment? Number 3, number 4, 5, 6, 7, let's hit up 8, and we'll hit up number 9 now. Here we go. So if this recognizes all of them, which I think it's going to, because I've ran some tests online. They've got some free websites where you can actually upload images and it will tell you what text is in the image, and they all worked perfectly every time. So I'm pretty confident this is going to work here. So I just wanted to try it out live streaming the actual process. And like I said, I've tried with core machine learning and it would only recognize the numbers half the time. I completely trained a custom model. It was quite painful to train. But core machine learning is great if you've got images, say, of cats, dolphins, bears, and so on. And I've got a video coming on that tomorrow as to how you can get a custom core machine learning library. Okay, so that didn't quite work as expected. So we can see here, we've got some gaps, some numbers weren't recognized. And what I'm going to do with the print, I'm going to actually print out the number it's expecting and then the number it recognizes, because the console output here is quite messy. We can't tell which matches up to which thing. So we'll do number 0, escape that variable here, and we'll repeat the process for all the numbers. So it's pretty disappointing that it worked the first time around, but it's not actually working now. Kind of frustrating, but you know, it's developer life, isn't it? Let's see, 6. So I'm just using my trackpad here. I've got a mouse plugged in. With the trackpad, I like the Mac default settings where scroll down goes up and scroll up goes down, but I like the opposite on the mouse. But I haven't figured out a way to actually have them work the opposite way yet. Okay, here we go. Got the formatting just slightly wrong there. Let's dump that all in here. 7. Finally 8. And finally 9. And let's change that so we can see what's matching up to what. So 2, 3, so number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, 8, and 8 here, and finally 9 down here. So let's run that to see which numbers are recognizing properly, if any. Otherwise we'll just see what happens. So it looks like we might actually have to go to that alternate library which can recognize text. Hopefully it's a bit better than this one. Or it might just be these images aren't big enough, which is unfortunate because these are the best I can get from the website. So I'm not going to get any better quality than that. Otherwise, one more thing I have to check is this library. I recall if you're using custom fonts, you have to add it in. So that's something I might actually have to check out. Okay, so it's loaded, our test view controller. Okay, number 2, it's got nothing. Number 0, it thinks is an I. Number 1, it thinks it's an II. And let's see what happens to the rest. Okay, so that all like completely failed. Didn't recognize any of our numbers, so that's quite disappointing. Okay, so let's check out the documentation. Training, it's easy, Okay, so it looks like we're going to have to train it because these images here are using a custom font. So we're going to have to train our library to recognize that font. So the easiest way is to use a training app that can be found under the examples. First, select the fonts you want to train from the list. After that, you can change the characters you want to train in a text field, press the start testing button. Okay, so let's check out the training for this. So I'm just locating the folder now. I think I'm gonna have to actually download this from GitHub. So let's download that. Download the zip, and we'll check out the training folder to see if we can train our images now. So it looks like that's gonna take a bit to download. So you can see here why you might choose Swift OCR over the Tesseract library, because if we go to another tab and go Swift Tesseract, let's check out what the docs say on that. Oops, Swift Tesseract optical image recognition or character recognition. Alright, so we got an installation page here. Let's jump straight into that. So you can install Cocoapods, and you've got to run through quite a few steps here to actually get it working. So this is why I chose Swift OCR. So we'll give the training a go, see how that works. If the training fails, then we can simply try using the Tesseract library. So let me just copy it out of my downloads now, and we'll check out the actual training app that was included and see if we can use our images with that. So documents, Seemu apps, YouTube. I'll make a new folder called streaming. Oh, dump it in there. YouTube tutorials. I'm just checking the folder right now, so it won't be a moment, guys. Documents, Seemu apps, YouTube tutorials, streaming. Okay, cool. Alright, so here's the Swift OCR folder from GitHub. And let's go through the training steps. So we go to the example folder, OSX, and we go Swift OCR training. And it's also got an example for OSX, and in here we've got an example project. So let's just open up the training project and check out what's in there. Okay. Let's see, we've got our training app here. Firstly, select the fonts you want to train from the list. So I think I have to run this app potentially, and then it will let me actually use it. So we've got the documentation. We'll go Swift OCR training. We'll run it on my Mac because it looks like a Mac app, and we'll see if we can actually train our images up. So this might take just a bit to build and actually run the app. So firstly, we need to select the fonts we want. and then we can change the characters we want to train, and we press the start testing button. So I wonder what fonts are actually used on that bottom. It looks like that's quite a bit to compile. Hopefully that won't take too much longer to compile. Anyhow, the font is from a bank called ING, so we'll try and see if we can actually find the font they use. ING font. ING direct font. See if we can figure out what font they use. Here we go. Okay, so they have their own custom font, I recall now, called ING Me. So what we can do, if we actually need to download the font files, the easiest way to do that is if their website uses that font, you can check out the source code in Chrome and download the font. Otherwise, there'll be a bunch of extensions for Chrome, Firefox, and so on, where you can actually download the font from a website. So that's pretty handy there. This is gonna take forever to run. 78, halfway there. Okay, so after that we can change characters and press the start testing button, and then that can take a while to run through. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to end the live stream here. I'll run through the training, and if you guys are interested on it, I can make a video on the actual training of the numbers. Once I get that all going, I'll let you guys know how I go. If I actually can use Swift OCR with the images in this project here, or if I have to switch to another library to recognize text. I feel like it's either going to have to use this one or the Tesseract one, and if it doesn't work, I'm just going to have to tweak and customize it until I can actually get it working. But it's kind of disappointing it didn't recognize them, because the first time it actually got number 0. So if I comment out all of this here up to number 1, save that and run that. Let's see if it recognizes number 0 again. Because the first time it recognized it straight away, but now since we added in all the other numbers, it just will not recognize it, which is kind of frustrating, you know. And this is still running through. So my computer is just running like crazy at the moment, the fan. Like my MacBook Air, but I just got to clean up a lot of stuff on it. I'm always using up the whole hard drive, mostly with video files. Just got a 512 gig SSD, which is the biggest I could get at the time. So have to look at some external storage options. Okay, we're running the app here now. And let's see if it will recognize that number 0 image in our assets folder straight away again. Because if I included all of them at the same time, it just wouldn't recognize. Hey there, how's it going? Loaded. Let's see if it gets number 0. Come on, Swift, let's go. Alright, it got number 0 straight away. But as soon as we include any other numbers, it fails. So it might be a threading issue potentially, where we have to actually just run through one number at a time. Otherwise, it might not work. So let's just try number 4 by itself, because I was trying to do all of them at once, and it would come back with weird results. Like it would think the number 0 is I. Some of the numbers it wouldn't even recognize, so maybe we need to just let it run through one at a time to recognize the text in the images. So that's running now. Let's see how the Mac app is running through. That's still compiling. which this is used to actually train our optical character recognition with custom models. Alright, come on, let's see if this recognizes number 4. Let's go. Be awesome if it does. I'm really hoping it does. It thinks the number 4 image here in our asset is actually number 5. So that right there is kind of disappointing. I want this to be pretty accurate. I can't really have it getting the wrong numbers about 30-40% of the time. It's just not going to work for a user. They're not going to use the app. So let's see what happens to the number 5. If it actually will guess it correctly, or if it will think the number 5 is a different number. So annoying, right? And our Mac app is still compiling, so I think that's going to take a while to run through. Cool. The build succeeded. The console is just loading up at the moment, so it's loaded. Now it's processing the number 5. Let's see if it can actually guess it. Come on, let's go. Oh, cool, it guessed the number 5 correctly. So that's good to know. If we do them all at once, it gets mixed up. But if we do one at a time, it has a higher hit rate of actually guessing the correct number. So once again, I've got all my images here of different numbers on an orange background. But I think ultimately, I'm going to need to train it. So we're using a Swift OCR library to recognize characters, and you can actually train it with custom font. So since I'm actually using a custom font in those images, it won't be trained to recognize on that particular font. So it's going to have a bit more trouble guessing it. So once we actually train it up with that font, that should all be sweet for it to work. So that's probably going to take some time because we need to use the included Mac OS X app, which is compiling now. So I'll need to do that in my own time and get back to you guys and let you know how that goes. So let's just check the number 7 to see if that works now. So we've got number 5 and number 0 working. Number 4 doesn't work properly, so it'll be interesting to see if the other numbers work. So no, it thinks the number 7 is actually the character N, so that's quite frustrating there. So I will definitely need to train it up on a custom font. And also with some of these optical character recognition libraries, you can exclude it. So you can essentially say, oh, my images only contain numbers or certain letters. I can't see it on this one here, which is pretty annoying, because if that was the case, we could exclude like the letter N and say, no, this image only contains a number. Try and guess what number it is. So I'm going to go off and train that in my own time, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm definitely making progress. From before, I was using core machine learning that had about a 50% accuracy rate. This OCR library here has about a 60 to 70%, so we're making improvements, and once I train it, hopefully it's around 98% plus is my goal for this. So catch you guys next time.